Welcome to class. I'm Miss Faust. Please make sure you have paper handy and a pen or pencil because today is a note-taking day, and I do mean note-taking day. We're going to start with our next writer. It is Langston Hughes. Those are his dates, 1902 to 1967. Now you can see I don't have anything else up there. So that is why you see this. Take notes on the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you a few items, and those items would have been up here on the board, but as you can see, we're limited on the space and time and all that. So what I would like you to do, and this is really good, it will train your ears to pick up important facts and the like. So what I'd like you to do is, as I'm reading, sharing some information about Mr. Hughes, I'd like you to jot down, in other words, take notes, okay? Because you never know. There could possibly be a test down the road. Who knows, okay? So that is what you're going to need to do today. A little note-taking. It is good practice, good practice. Listening to the teacher, sharing information, and deciding what is the important information, okay? So as I'm sharing, I may tell you a little bit more about whatever it is I'm saying about Mr. Hughes, okay? So shall we get started? Do you have your paper handy? You're ready? Let's get this going. One moment. Okay, one moment. All right. So Langston Hughes. Well, let me see. He is a short story writer, and we are going to read one of his short stories. Okay? He is an African American short story writer. He has also written novels, so he's a novelist. Oh, and by the way, if needs be, you may have to put a pause to the video to, get those notes. Okay, again, think of it as good practice. He is a poet, and he is also a playwright. In other words, he has written plays. He is part of what we call the Harlem Renaissance. It's a period back in history, so to speak, back in around the 1920s. It lasted not that many years, but it lasted for over 10 years or so. We will learn a little bit more about the Harlem Renaissance with our next readings. In other words, in the next month, you'll get more information about the Harlem Renaissance. It is an interesting literary, historical period in American history. So he's a part of the Renaissance, which had to do a lot with writers, musicians, dancers, singers, okay, African American, who showed what they are capable of doing. In other words, they could write books, they can make jokes, they can dance, they can play the piano, okay? And yes, as you'll learn down the road, it took place in Harlem. Okay, so he's a part of that. He is at the top of that historical literary period. Okay. Let's see what else we can say. At one point, he was discovered basically by another poet whose name happens to be Vachel, and it's V-A-C-H-E-L, Lindsay, L-I-N-D-S-A-Y. As I said, he is a poet. What happened is Langston Hughes did a lot of different jobs when he was young. Okay, let's check in some of the things he did, such as waiting on tables. Okay, so he did quite a number of things as a young man. As I said, waiting on tables was one of them, along with others. Okay, and because he was waiting on tables at the time, he was able to meet Mr. Lindsay. Lindsay had ordered something, and he was the waiter and the like. And he happened to have left his poetry out and about. And next thing, Mr. Lindsay found it, and there's history. A great writer has been discovered. All right. Okay. He tended to write about ordinary Black Americans. Okay. In other words, their joy and their despair. The ordinary Black American. Yes. Their everyday ups and downs in life. Many people, critics, other top-notch writers, scholars were not happy with him because he was honest about the treatment of African Americans. They wanted him to write as though everything was wonderful for the African American. Okay, so you can look at the years he was there in the start of the civil rights movement and the like. So yes, they wanted him to just make it look good. And then there were others who said he needed to be a little bit more honest about the treatment. Okay. And he was. He was quite clear that African Americans had a tough time. Okay. They had their joys, yes they did, but they also had their despairs. He wrote about the prejudice, discrimination, and poverty that Black Americans faced. Again, note-taking time. The prejudice, discrimination, and poverty they faced. Again, scholars didn't want to see that. And we're talking, remember, he's an African American. We're talking African Americans who said that. Who said, no. You don't write the truth. You make it flowery. They have a wonderful life. He didn't believe in doing that. He wanted the world to know the discrimination his people faced. Okay. I'm looking to see something else. Was there something else that would be interesting? No. No. He was basically, raised by his mom. His father at one point just sort of left the family. Just got up and went, bye. He ended up, I believe he went to, he moved to Mexico. At some point, Langston actually stayed with him for a bit, but went back. Yes. I'm sorry. There was a whole list. I keep forgetting. A list of all these different jobs that he had. It was quite interesting. But I don't have that. All right. Again, he did a lot of different jobs when he was young. Right? And he was so lucky to have met Mr. Lindsay. And we're lucky to have him. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? No. I don't think there is anything else. Do you have any questions about Mr. Langston Hughes? No? No questions at all? Okay. So, let's talk about your assignment. You are going to read Langston Hughes. It's called Thank You, Ma'am. Okay? Thank You, Ma'am. That is the story you're going to read. So what I need you to do is the following. I need you to Google that text. So again, you can make it easy. Text of Langston Hughes, Thank You, Ma'am. And you should get several sources popping up. Pick one and read it. It's not a very long story. It's quite interesting. Okay? It is truly quite interesting. So I need you to read that for today. Also, I need you to copy and to make sure that you copy this and that you answer the following. First one is discuss Mrs. Jones and Rogers. So I need you to respond to that with a little bit of a discussion. I would suggest at least 2 sentences. Give at least 1 sentence for each person. Okay, don't just jumble it up and give me 10 words. Really, truly talk about Mrs. Jones. Give me something about her, okay? Give me something about Roger. Why doesn't Roger run away? Talk to me about that. Okay, so I need you to make sure that you read "Thank you, ma'am," that you copy and answer this. Okay, respond to that and to this question. And then finally, let me make sure if there's anything else that we may need. The only other thing I could say is that next class period, I will go through the highlights of "Thank you, ma'am." Okay? So be prepared to discuss, so to speak. And finally, I'd like you to answer this question. Which character in today's story did you like best? Was it Mrs. Jones or was it Roger? Okay? Do you have any questions whatsoever? A good practice of note-taking, isn't it? Okay. It's really, truly, it is. It's good. It's good to hear and try to figure out what's the key. And that's the key to note-taking. Please make sure you understand that. When you're note-taking, whatever class, always look for the important bits and pieces. Sometimes it's just a date. Sometimes it's a word. Okay. Sometimes if you hear the person repeat an idea over and over, it's a little clue. Okay. Otherwise, when you're done, remember, please make sure you read this first before you try to do this. When you're done with everything, including this wonderful question, please make sure you send it on off to me today. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Till next time, I will see you in next class. Yes? Bye-bye.